I'm Kat.
I'm Hayley.
And this is Night Classy, the podcast where two teachers unwind, sip wine, and each teach a lesson we can't teach at school. What are we drinking, Hayley?
Black Box Premium Wines Pinot Noir from California, and it is effective. It's a red wine, and we like it.
Yeah, we like it. It tastes good, and it comes in a black box.
Yeah, that's pretty. I mean, if you want some adjectives about it, it says enticing aromas of strawberry, cherry, and rose petal with complementary notes of toasty oak. So fire.
Smell it right now and see if you can smell any of those things.
Waft it. I can't ever smell anything because my nose is always stuffed.
Interesting. Well, I smell wine.
Wine
I don't
time.
smell strawberries or oak.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah.
Wine is wine is wine.
Wine is wine is wine. And yeah, it's Friday. I'm feeling fine today because we got a 1% raise.
Yep. Retroactive too for 6 months.
Yes. Which means we each got retroactively over 6 months. We have an extra $100 today.
Whoa.
So you guys can cancel your Patreon subscriptions.
Nope.
Because we're rich now.
Do that.
We get an extra $20 a month. Not to give away what our like abysmal salaries are, but
you could just look it up on a website, honestly.
Yeah, it's public information. But I mean, it's still kind of exciting. I mean, I didn't coach this year because I coached soccer in the fall and like coronavirus, but I still got my coaching stipend. So that was actually good.
That's really nice.
Yeah, that was exciting.
Pleasant surprise from the district.
They told us we were going to get it and I was like, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. So I really was not counting on getting it because I mean,
that's the best when expectations are low to nothing and then it actually happens.
Yeah, that was a true blessing.
I'm happy for you.
Yes, I'm happy. I'm happy for me too. I bought a bunch of Christmas presents for people today. I feel good about my life. I bought you a Christmas present.
Ooh, I got you one
really
today
good.
too.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was like, ooh, this paycheck coming in hot. We're gonna get our
Exactly.
Christmas presents.
I know. I have my sticky note of all the people I need to buy presents for on my computer right now. And your name has a check mark by it.
Yay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been quite the week, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like school is my part-time job and Night Classy is my full-time job.
That's what it's starting to feel like for this week, last week, and the next week coming up. We're recording 2 episodes per week.
Yeah. We've been recording 2 episodes per week for a while.
Yeah. Which is 100% more than we usually do per week.
And just like you guys have been amazing and like interacting with us and like it's just been I don't know, it's been
feeling more real.
It's feeling real. We had Abby from Queers for Fears on Tuesday, and Queers for Fears is her podcast and it's fucking incredible. You should all go listen to it. It's like a podcast like ours, like they casually like drink and talk to each other, but like about spooky stuff. And she came on and she was so fucking funny. I had the best time.
And she's also a teacher. Like I want her as a teacher.
Me too. Like why weren't my teachers like her?
How do we get into her class?
I think she's a Spanish teacher.
Ooh,
so that sounds fun.
I took Spanish. I can do that.
Yeah. She just had like a great lesson. She's a teacher, so her lesson was like on point, and a podcaster, so like double whammy. That lesson's going to be on Patreon this month. It's our December Patreon episode, and we have another really fun guest planned for our January Patreon episode. We're recording that next week, and I'm excited for that one.
Me too. We're having Reggie. He is a comedian here in Memphis, and I'm not going to give away what he's going to talk to us and teach us about, but we're excited. And, you know, he does comedy professionally.
Yeah.
So it's going to be funny.
He's really funny. And if you go on Tommy's Instagram, you can see a sketch that we filmed with him. And like the whole sketch is like about Reggie, like holding me hostage, and Tommy is the hostage negotiator. And then they fall in love and like I'm just being held hostage the whole time, and they're eating pizza rolls, and it's really funny. You guys should look at it.
You did a great job.
Tommy cast me because he thought that I could just like look dead and expressionless the whole time, which is true.
You nailed it. I just rewatched that yesterday, actually, just for fun. I don't know really why, but
they're really funny. Like, shout out to Tommy. There's some funny sketches on the Kobe Bryant sketch. Was really funny. The newest one. But yeah, so we do fun things. We're not just podcasters.
We're podcasters, teachers, and actors.
And actresses.
We do it all.
Well, Alec has some news.
Yes, please share.
Oh, yeah. If you haven't been listening, there's been a whistling ghost in our old house. We've talked about it in the past, but I've been a very skeptical person. I don't believe in ghosts.
Wait, you said old house. It's our current house.
It's our current house. Yeah, the house is where we live, but it's very old. It was built in 1915, and I heard the whistle this week.
Yeah, and it's not just a whistle, but it's like a person whistling a song.
Yeah, I was in the bathroom and nobody was home, and it sounded like it was coming from Hayley's room, which is right above us, and it sounded as if there was a man in there whistling, like like something like that, where it was definitely a tune. It wasn't like an air conditioning unit like I thought it was.
Yeah, Alec just gaslit the hell out of us and didn't believe us, but now he got his day. And
it's chilling. And that's where I heard it. You heard it outside of your room, and I heard it right outside of my room.
Yeah, your room is haunted as fuck.
Yeah, you feel it. I don't. Yeah. I feel fine in there.
That's good.
I do get that like smell of old man. I don't know how to describe other than old man. They kind of like cologne mixed with mothballs.
That's me and Tommy. Sorry.
Who's cologne and who's mothballs?
Yeah, I don't know if it's your room because I don't feel too bad in your room, but when I go up the stairs and like the guest bedroom door is always open because that's where a few of the many litter boxes in our house are. And I don't like seeing that doorway. Like when I go upstairs at night, I don't like that doorway is facing me. I don't know. There's something about that like landing area. I don't know.
Interesting.
There's just...
That is where I heard the sound, the whistling.
And so for the skeptics out there, we did a test where I figured it might be the neighbor who's like out at weird times whistling in his backyard. Our neighbors are shut-ins. We never have seen them.
Yeah.
So we don't know when they come in and out. But they do have a dog, so we know they're like sort of coming out in their backyard sometimes. So I went out in the backyard over by their fence and I whistled all over the backyard and to see if Kat could hear it from her bed. And what was the verdict?
I could not hear anything from my bed, but when I went into our bathroom, which is like the back of our bathroom is up against our backyard. When I went into the bathroom and listened, like really, really concentrated, I could sort of hear something, but like I just hear like a whistle and then like it would go away and I'd like strain to hear it. So I just don't think that's a good explanation.
Yeah, because I was whistling Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer really loudly. So if you didn't hear it, that probably wasn't it.
I could barely hear it. Like when I heard it, I was laying in my bed and it sounded like someone was like almost standing in my doorway whistling and I was too scared to look. So like it was loud.
Yeah, it's right there. It woke me up out of my sleep.
Yeah, it's loud and it sounds like it's almost in the room with you. So I don't think it was the neighbor.
Yeah, and I was like frozen, like heart beating fast.
Yeah, it's really unsettling because it literally sounds like a human whistling. Like it's not like ethereal or like you almost like you don't know if you hear it or not. It's definitely blatant. Yeah,
so. I'm really glad you went through it first because that helped me not be too scared. Like my heart was definitely beating fast, but I was like, okay, Kat went through this. I'm just going to go back to sleep. Everything is fine. It's just the ghost. He's friendly.
Yeah, I think he's friendly.
Or indifferent.
All of this started after we did the Ouija board on Halloween.
Oh, fuck.
Did you guys?
Did it? I thought you heard the whistling before.
No, it was after.
Oh.
So maybe we unleashed something. Maybe we should Ouija again. We were talking last time before recording that we need to Ouija in the recording studio.
Yeah, we definitely do, especially knowing a little bit more about the history and how old this building is.
Yeah, she's hella old. So maybe another night creepy in the works.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
We'll be back.
We need to get back on that Ouija board. Why don't we use it more?
Because it's in the creepy attic.
That's true. And the cold attic. It's freezing.
And speaking of the attic, there was an Instagram poll. Is this a murderer or a ghost in our house? And the murderer got a lot of votes.
Okay, but the ghost won by like 65%. But the murderer got more votes than I thought.
I think we should really do a thorough sweep.
I think we should too.
It's happened before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not with us.
Not with us,
But
but
with people.
yeah, on Radio Rental, there was this story where this family for years, maybe not years, but like months, thought their house was haunted. Like stuff would go, like it was like a classic haunting situation. They'd like see a dark figure, stuff would go missing. And then it turned out there was actually someone like living in their walls. And that's so fucked up. And that's way scarier than a ghost. And if that happened to me, I'd probably just want to die. That's so scary.
I would demand we get our rent back.
We already deserve our rent prorated for like the gigantic pile of dirt in our yard right now, but
amongst other things.
And amongst like a basement flooding with sewage and a possum, and things are great, you guys. We got a 1% raise and our house is haunted and in disrepair,
but it's beautiful. Don't let her down talk it too much. Yeah. It's a beautiful house.
Our house is beautiful. It's like, it's huge and there's like wood carvings that
huge
are built
for us.
in.
When we say huge, probably what you're picturing is huge.
I would say it's a huge house.
Yeah. It
has
four
five
bedrooms.
1, 2, 3. No, four bedrooms.
4
2
bedrooms.
upstairs, 2 downstairs.
Oh yeah, 4 bedrooms. But it's like it's big.
Yeah. It's big. It was definitely a mansion at the time that it was
very
built.
grand. There's like a big foyer and like a grand fireplace. It's a cool house.
I don't want you to think that we're living in a mansion now, though. Like we are still teachers.
We're not living in squalor. We're living in like the Depression era of what's considered a mansion. Yeah. Well, 1915. I mean, that was like pre-Depression, right after the Victorian era.
A World War
I era mansion. Things were good. It was probably an old farmhouse in its heyday. Anyway, enough about our house already.
Goodness.
God. By golly.
Yeah, but let us know what you think about the whistling ghost.
Yeah, I mean, I can't, like, it has to be a ghost. It has to.
I hope it's a ghost, but I'm a little scared that there's somebody living. But also, like, we would hear the attic, because I feel like if they were living in our house, they'd get in and out throughout the house through the attic door, which has to be slammed to shut.
And like our house is so creaky, and I never hear like creaks or steps or anything like that. And like none of our food goes missing. Like there's nothing except for the whistling, and that would be a weird thing to like bring attention to yourself with if you're hiding in a house.
Yeah, I think it probably is a ghost, especially after the results we got with the Ouija board. Yeah, which if you're interested, go over to Patreon.
Yeah, the video's posted there.
And I will say this, it sounded sort of like old-timey.
Yeah.
In a very creepy way that made me freeze.
Yeah, the whistling, it sounded like a professional whistler. Like it had vibrato, and like it just sounded like like someone who was trained in whistling, which I don't think they do that anymore.
Who's the guy who gets to the afterlife and he's like, all my dreams have come true. I'm a professional whistler.
That's all he ever wanted, and
he lives in our house.
I've been searching the public records for like people that died around our house, and I haven't found anything yet, but I'm really scared I'm going to land on some musician.
Yeah.
I mean, whistling is kind of a pastime type deal, something to just do. So I don't think it has to be.
That's true. That's true.
Special.
Yeah. Maybe they like sung at their church. Like, I mean, it sounds so pretty. It has to be. I mean, I guess it doesn't have to be someone
probably
trained,
a song of some sort.
Probably a song. All right. Well, that's all I got.
Me too.
Okay. I'm ready.
All right.
I'm excited.
I blew a .117
and I blew a .00, which is not accurate, but I feel like we just have to trust the fate of the breathalyzer. Like,
yeah, it's telling us it's my turn.
I blew 3 times and it got 0 every time, even though I've had like 2 giant glasses of wine. So
it's the ghost.
It's a haunted breathalyzer. Yeah.
Can you imagine our $25 breathalyzer from Amazon is malfunctioning?
We have some Patreon money saved up. Maybe we should get a good breathalyzer.
Ooh, yeah, we should.
Let's do that.
It's time to level up.
Yeah, it's time. We've had this boy for almost a year.
We need to go into the police station and be like, we need to buy a breathalyzer.
What if every time before we recorded, we walked into the police station and was like, can you breathalyze us? Okay.
Okay. Well,
Go ahead, Hayley. Take it away.
Okay. So I saw a picture on Instagram, and this lesson is built around the spark that this picture on Instagram lit as far as my interests go. So Alec, can you pull up my pictures? I'm going to show it to you. Kat, if you could just describe what you see.
Okay. Oh God. Oh God. Oh no. It's like a courtroom. It's black and white. And it's what I assume is a woman because she's wearing panties.
And high heels.
Like she does not have pants on and she's bending over, mooning the judge, but she's not mooning him because she has her panties on. And the judge has like a giant like Theodore Roosevelt mustache and he's just going, nice.
That's exactly it. So I saw that and I'm sure like you,
I thought she was like possessed for a second. I was like, no, she's just telling him to fuck off.
She's not possessed that I know of. At least it's not part of this story. But I had no idea what was going on and I needed an explanation.
Yeah.
So I went on to find out what it was. Turns out this picture was taken by a freelance photographer, Jim Damaski, for the Tampa Bay Times. He was tipped off about what would be happening at the courthouse that day, and he knew he had to be there. So the year was 1983. And the reason why this female is here is that 3 dancers were charged in a strip club in violation of anti-nudity ordinances.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and Pinellas, I don't know. Pinellas, okay.
It's where I went to college.
Oh, okay. Pinellas County, Florida.
Okay.
So that is categorized under blue laws for this county. And I knew that like blue laws restricted buying alcohol on Sundays in some places, but I looked into blue laws a little bit more. Just a little like fun fact about it. It cited that 2 reasons why it's called blue laws. The first thing is that it was actually written on blue paper when the law was put into place in 1871. And blue in the 18th century meant rigidly moral.
So they're stupid laws.
They're stupid laws. They forbid secular activities such as buying, selling, doing anything entertainment-wise, traveling, anything like that you can't do on Sundays, which is, the day of Sabbath for some people.
Right, but we have the separation of church and state, right? So that's...
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what... That's what some laws and things say.
Yeah.
So this ordinance pretty much blocked these strippers from doing what they needed to do to make their money.
On Sunday? Or every day?
On every day.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
So what happened, basically they weren't allowed to get fully naked, and there were regulations set on how much of their body they could show as their job. Like,
that's
they're
so
strippers.
Fucking stupid.
Yeah, I know.
Like, imagine telling someone they couldn't get naked in their own home for free. That's basically what you're doing, telling someone they can't get naked for someone paying them to get naked.
Right. You're not allowed to have control over your own body.
Yeah.
I get to say what you can and cannot do.
Right.
With your body.
It's just so dumb. And I'm sure everyone listening agrees with us. So I don't want to like harp on it, but what the fuck?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So not only do they have this law, but they were allowed to regulate nudity wherever alcohol was served. So strippers, like I said, they weren't allowed to get fully naked, and they regulated these laws. So these 3 dancers were arrested after allegedly exposing their vaginas to undercover cops. So fast forward to this day where this photo is taken, where you see this stripper bending over in front of the judge showing her butt. And that's Judge David A. Demers, by the way. He ruled that the bikini briefs were within regulations and there's no way that she could have shown her vagina.
Wait, he made her bend over like that to see if they were in regulation?
Yeah, I've read a couple other like strippers accounts about how they would send in female police officers and they would take like one of those mirrors that you use. It's like on a stick and you used to look under cars with. They would do that to see how much of a woman's vagina is or is not showing based on local regulations.
What fucking pervs? Like, why do you care? Why do they care?
Why do you care?
How does it? Okay.
I don't know why they care. I didn't look into that part of it. Okay. So I was just completely mind blown that this was even a thing. And a little fun fact, this photo was actually later published in Playboy's The Year in Sex for that year.
Nice.
So after learning about this court case, I wanted to do a lesson on the history and evolution of stripping, but that's not really what happened.
Okay.
My research took me to a different place, and I just felt like I had more on that. I wanted more time to do something so big as
that's
dancing.
a big one.
Yeah. So it's kind of close. It's kind of related. But anyway, we're going to talk about G-strings today.
Oh, yeah. I'm wearing one right now.
Hell yeah.
It's laundry week, so it's all I got.
I mean, that's my personal go-to. Lots of people have different opinions and like if they like it, if they don't like it.
I think they're the most comfortable.
I do too. It was like I went through a week in high school where I tried them and I could definitely feel it. It wasn't the most comfortable thing, but after that, it's like I don't even feel it.
Yeah. And like sometimes with your traditional, not to get too graphic, but like with your traditional thong, like sometimes the thing that like goes between your ass cheeks is too wide.
Yeah, it's too
and
thick.
it chafes. So the G-string is where it's at.
It's the perfect solution.
Yeah.
So to know and learn about G-strings, we must begin before the time of G-strings. We got to see what our foundation is.
The dark days.
The dark days, literally.
With panty lines.
No offense against panty lines, but
yeah,
you don't get them with G-strings.
You do you, but you could wear a G-string maybe if that's up your alley.
And apparently, we'll get to this much later in the lesson, but popularity has gone down. People are wearing more and more granny panties like 2020.
I love a granny panty, but not with leggings, which is what I wear 90% of the time.
G-string or nothing.
Yeah. G-string or nothing. Ew.
Just speak. What do you mean, ew? Lots of people go commando.
But what if you get, okay, now this is getting so graphic. What if you get like moist down there and
you can wash your clothes,
but it would leak out of your leggings?
I've never had that issue, which is why I do it.
I guess some of us are different than others.
I guess so.
Oh no. Oh no. I don't know if that should stay in or not.
All right. So anyway, the time before G-strings, our lesson begins today. That was a soft open. Now we're going
Hold on. Can you retake that? Because if she's laughing, it's going to not edit.
I think you should leave it in.
Okay, I'll leave it in.
Your principal listens to it and you just
know what?
Wide-eyed.
I don't care anymore. And you can leave this in, Alec.
Okay.
I don't care anymore. I don't.
Yeah, let your freak flag fly. I'm here for it.
It's a natural bodily function, and that's why I wear underwear.
So true. I love that.
We all leak through our leggings from time to time.
Oh Lord, I forgot that like I have family that listens to this, but
you know what? Hey. You're right. Taking that stance on it being just something that happens, and you can't control have to be ashamed of it.
Yeah. God, I might want this taken out.
Someone's like driving to work right now and be like, wow.
They're like crashing their car.
What a show.
They just really don't give a fuck. Yeah. Like not even one.
I feel like I'm on like fucking Call Her Daddy. It's a good time. This is not that
would
show.
Be fun. Not yet, anyway. All right. Well, to know about G-strings, we must first start in the time before G-strings. So our lesson today begins with Otzi. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, honestly. Otzi the Iceman.
Okay. Otzi, how do you spell that?
It's O with the two. I don't know what the punctuation
umlaut?
is. Yeah, an umlaut. O with an umlaut, T-Z-I.
That'd be like Otzi.
Otzi.
Yeah.
Okay. Otzi the Iceman. So this guy died in the Tyrolean Alps more than 5,000 years ago. It's estimated to be about 3,300 BC. And we know this because he ended up getting mummified after getting shot in the shoulder with an arrow. He died and then like some ice froze over or something. Anyway, he got mummified. And when he was mummified, he was donning a loincloth made of goat skin. So we're like going all the way back.
The original G-string.
The original underwear. We're going to talk about how we got G-strings.
Okay. I thought he was like a caveman stripper wearing a goat skin G-string. I was excited.
I know, that would be exciting. Unfortunately not. I mean, I have a picture of him reconstructed so you can see if you'd be interested.
No. No. I don't want to see that show. Except it does kind of look like Alec if he got really old and then lived in a cave for 20 years.
I resent that.
Yeah, and stayed in the sun
You guys,
all the
this
time.
is the most hideous caveman. He looks like a Duck Dynasty dude who's half naked, holding a spear.
I just think his arm kind of looks like yours.
Your hand is really
His
big.
arm?
Like in that picture today, your hand looks abnormally big, just like this guy.
I waved at a picture and the perspective made my hand look huge.
Yeah, it's always the perspective with you, isn't it?
Now I'm a caveman. My last name is Og, which sounds caveman.
You do
I
have
remember that from our
arm.
first date. You told the bartender like what your name was, and you're like Og, like a caveman, and I was like, what? What does that mean?
It's just Alec's own little thing he made up in his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, it worked.
That's like when I
guess.
tell.
Yeah, it did. I'm still here.
It did, yeah. Which came first, the podcast or the love interest?
We'll never
Who
know.
knows?
Never know. I keep my cards close to my chest.
Wink twice if it was the podcast.
Hello,
Oh, she did
darkness, my old friend.
Just kidding.
I know.
So this is the reconstructed version. Alec, can you scroll down to the actual mummified version? So that's him.
Ooh, he looks like a caramel.
Yeah, he's nice and shiny.
He's very
and-
glazed.
Yeah, he's glazed over. But he was wearing a loincloth, and they have extracted everything on his body. So you can scroll again, Alec, and this just shows the multiple things on him. But the thing we're focusing on is his loincloth. We can also see that he was wearing a cape that was made out of hay.
So wait, is that his loincloth?
The loincloth, yeah, that's the loincloth.
Okay, so it's literally a piece of cloth with like a belt. So it just hung over the front of him?
A loincloth traditionally is in the front and the back. So it's two pieces of fabric that are tied at the waist.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. They cover your front and back.
And then you're just freeballing.
You're freeballing, yeah. Because, I mean, what else do you have to worry about when you're fucking hiking the Alps for
A snake
hundreds
biting
of
your
miles?
balls.
A snake biting your snake.
Yeah. Two snakes kiss.
And that's exactly what happened in my lesson.
Yeah.
Anyway, so King Tut was found with 145 pairs of loincloth in his tomb.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Did not know that. Even though I'm an expert on King Tut.
Apparently you are, but I don't know.
That's my public persona, but on the inside, I'm conflicted.
Well, that's okay. I'm picking up where you were slacking. Yep, 145 pairs of loincloth.
Well, this is the end of the podcast for the second week in the row.
This is what the people asked for. Do you want to hear a joke about it?
What?
Do you want to hear a joke about King Tut having 145 pairs of loincloth in his tomb?
Sure.
It's like me going on a week-long trip. You don't know what could happen.
Oh my God. I feel like I'm in my class because before class we have a 5-minute break, and every day I'm like, does anyone have any jokes or riddles? And a lot of times they're like actual jokes or riddles that the kids look up online, but sometimes they're 6th graders and they just like make up the weirdest shit. And I don't even know how to respond. I'm like, I don't get it. I'm like, did you make this up? They're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, that was really good.
You stumped me 100%.
Yeah.
I don't even get it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I remind you of your 6th graders.
Yeah.
I liked your joke, Hayley.
Thank you. Thank you. People in ancient Rome were also rocking their undergarments. They were mostly made of leather, occasionally linen.
Wow. Leather undergarments.
Bougie.
Kinky.
I know,
Kinky
right?
and bougie.
That or they only had one pair and it needed to last.
Speaking of kinky and bougie, there's a sex shop near our house, and like you would think it was the fucking North Pole. Like it looks like the jolliest place in the world right now.
It's lit.
They have like 6 Christmas trees in the window.
Can we tell them
incredible.
the name?
What's the name of it?
Ins and Outs.
Oh yeah.
I just like it so much. It's so clever.
It is really clever. They're great. They're great in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went there to get gifts for I was about to say Friendsgiving. No, it was a Valentine's Day party.
Yeah.
Kat got this piss porno. What was it called?
Oh yeah, we had a Valentine's Day party where we had a white elephant, but like we brought like sex toys, and I bought 2 porno DVDs, and one was called what was it called? I don't know, but it was like it was a gay porn with like pissing. Like they were all just like all these like naked guys like pissing all over each other, and that was my white elephant gift. And then nobody wanted it, and I got stuck with my own gift.
And you posted on your Instagram story, and Instagram took it down, right?
Yeah, I was so drunk. I posted a picture of me holding up this like horrifying porno. Not horrifying. I mean, do what you will, but this very graphic porno DVD next to my face, and I put it on my Instagram story, and then it immediately got taken down like so fast. This is not okay.
I don't even think it got put up. You're like,
yeah.
I think it's for the best. I've reflected within the past 30 seconds, and that's a good move.
I was very relieved when I woke up sober the next day, and I was like, oh my God, I have to delete my Instagram story. And then it was already done for me.
I've got to stop putting urine bukkake in my story when I get drunk.
God, it's such a bad habit.
Confessions of a teacher.
Yeah.
Ooh, we should start a Patreon show where it's like anonymous confessions of teachers and we just read them out loud.
Oh, that would be good. We do, I think, have enough teacher listeners to maybe pull that off.
Yeah, I think so too.
Maybe we could just start reading one teacher confession at the end of every episode.
Ooh, yeah.
And if we run out from listeners, we can just ask teachers at our school.
Yeah. Okay. Write that down, Alex.
Yeah. Wrote it down.
Thank you. Alrighty. Well, anyway, back to my lesson. This is what teaching is like when you're, drinking. Anyway, so they had loincloths in ancient Rome. They were also available in shorts. So not really even loincloths at that point. They just had straight up shorts for gladiators, actors, and soldiers. And female performers wore a piece of fabric over their breasts to protect their modesty.
Wow.
Not a full shirt or any type of garment, but a piece of fabric.
I would like a piece of fabric to put over my breasts.
I'd put pepperonis.
Ew.
Just 1, 2.
I'd put pickle slices.
I would put organic, vegan, vegetable sausage.
Ooh. I just smear like veganese all over them.
Oh, nasty. But I mean, veganese is good, but in that context.
Veganese is like the bottom of our food pyramid in our house.
Yeah.
Like the big part.
It's the foundation.
Yeah.
This lesson right now is to veganese as this lesson is to the foundation of Gstrings.
Yeah.
That made no sense. Let's keep it rolling. Also, I'm sorry. Okay. Well, the main undergarment for women, though, was just a long smock underneath their dresses, not even like any type of like shorts or briefs or like anything like that.
That sounds way better.
It was just a dress on a dress, basically.
That sounds better.
Yeah. And then some people just went commando before it was cool.
Well, maybe some people can and others can't, and that's okay.
That is okay.
Some people get swamp crotch. Swamp crotch.
The newest dance move, swamp crunch. Swamp it like a crunch. Swamp it like a crunch.
Oh no.
We need to come up
I'm
with
just
that.
making it worse.
It's going to be explicit.
Oh,
Get
it already is.
So historians believed that bras were a product of the 20th century for a...
Sorry, guys.
Alec, are you trying to say something?
We're having a technical difficulty.
It's time for the
here.
ads.
This lesson is done.
Ralphie and Alice is the best.
Ralphie
ever.
and Alice reminds me of Gstrings.
Do you ever get dry lips? Hayley does. I don't.
I do. And I can go commando.
Just in case I can't edit this out, we hit an ad break and like the ad cues popped into our headphones.
I think you should.
Leave it in?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll leave it in.
That's funny.
That was my bad. Sorry, guys.
First mistake you ever made. I'm going to hold it against you
Yeah.
forever.
Right. Against all the other mistakes we've made. It's like a 50-1 ratio.
Probably more.
Yeah, probably definitely more. That was really
That was a low.
50-1. Yeah. That's low.
Alex truth comes out right now in this moment and he just starts freaking out on us.
I'm waiting for the day he snaps and breaks up with me. I feel like it can't be far away.
Oh my God.
No. Just because he yelled at you and punched the wall this week.
Yeah.
Not funny.
That did not happen.
Yeah, I did
Let
not
the record
punch a
show.
wall.
Yeah. And if someone punches a wall, you need to get away, go to a safe space. That's not a joke.
All right. So historians believed that bras were a product of the 20th century for a really long time, but they were like reconstructing this medieval castle in Austria one time, and they looked under the floorboards and they were like, oh my God, there's a time capsule. Let's look in it. And there's a bunch of shit in the time capsule, including 4 medieval bras with modern styles, including straps and cups for
Oh my God.
Really?
now breasts.
That is so cool.
I know.
I had no
right?
idea. I also thought bras were like a 1910s
part
invention.
of the fucking patriarchy.
Part of the fucking patriarchy.
What the hell? Yeah, I did too. So, I mean, they may not have been a staple between whenever that medieval castle, time capsule, existed and now, but
some fancy woman was like, someone's got to do something about all I got going on.
yeah, I got to get
Hold
a
it up.
lift up in here. My back fucking hurts.
Mhm.
Yeah, so there was that. Also,
Do you have a picture of that? I want to see
No,
that.
I don't, but I can show you one later. I
Okay.
for some reason didn't include that.
Send me a pic so I can put it on Instagram.
They have pics of that time capsule?
Yeah,
Oh,
they do.
man, that's
yeah.
so cool.
It's cool. I'll figure out which source it was from because
Okay.
there are quite a few sources this week. Also, silk became loved amongst the wealthy as far as like undergarments go. This was in the Tudor time. So Queen Elizabeth the First was given her first pair of silk stockings in the 1560s and was just over the fucking moon. Here's a quote. I like silk stockings so well because they're pleasant, fine, and delicate, that henceforth I will wear no more cloth stockings.
I'd probably feel the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, the only way I could possibly relate to that is like the time I got guacamole at Chipotle. I will henceforth no longer not get guac.
Good point.
So everyone else was kind of fucked because silk was expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And so they wore wool stockings.
You gotta have a worm to make the silk.
Yep. And it's so crazy. I think we've talked about this on the podcast before. I had silkworms.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
That is weird.
That is a fact about me.
When I was a kid, I had a box of I can't even say it. I had a box of slugs because I would collect slugs.
You would.
I'd collect slugs from the yard and make terrariums for them.
Oh, that's cute.
But then it wasn't cute because I had them in my like caboodle case. My mom did not know this was happening, but I had them in my caboodle and I'd put all these slugs in there and like dirt and grass, and then I'd like close it and then leave it outside in the summer, and then they'd get baked.
Oh no.
And their guts are this is so bad. I feel so bad for doing this to slugs. I didn't know any better, but their guts are blue. Like they'd get so hot that their guts would seep out, and their guts are like neon blue, and it haunts me to this day.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
so don't put slugs in a caboodle and then leave it in the sun.
Don't put slugs in my caboodle.
I'll caboodle your slug.
My caboodle is slug free. No, it's not.
Edit that out. We can't. PETA's gonna come for us.
This is quite the episode. We're really going for it. I made up my mind that if they want to fire me, they'll fire me. And here we go.
This is what virtual teaching does to people. All right. Well, anyway, women stayed wearing stockings for a long fucking time, but it was just stockings and their slips. In the 1600s, fun fact, people were afraid of washing their bodies because they thought that they could get diseases through their skin. So they just thought it would be safer to just change their clothes and wash those instead of themselves.
That's what anti-vaxxers sound like now.
Yeah. It's probably in the lineage.
Yep.
Also, during this time, chastity belts existed with, if you don't know, those are like metal, but there's also a nice little padded lining to prevent some chafing.
Wow.
Yeah.
How kind.
They're really thinking about comfort.
Yeah.
Women ended up layering their petticoats for a long time, and pretty much nothing changed for women's undergarments until the 1800s. So for like 200 years, we were just on a plateau. In the 1800s, though, women started wearing drawers. That eventually evolved into pantalettes.
Oh, those are cute. I'd wear those as pants.
Now, if you'll notice, they're like a white linen cloth. They go to the ankles. They have like frills at the bottom, some lace, but they are two separate pieces on the legs that are just connected at the waist. So they're open in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
So it makes it easy to use the restroom because that's what they would wear underneath all their petticoats.
Okay.
What year is this?
In the 1800s.
Okay.
That's when it kind of started to evolve.
Or it's easy access, am I right?
Oh, yeah.
High five.
More
Got
than
the
easy.
slug in her caboodle.
So they wore these pantalettes, easy access to slug in the caboodle up until the 1920s. We got our bloomers. These went right up to the knee rather than the ankles, but they pretty much look the same. And then the ideal shape for women kind of was forced upon women in this 19th century, and that is characterized by a 21-inch waist. So...
Ooh.
Yeah.
Small.
Super small. Corsets became very popular, as well as, and I didn't even know the name for this, but crinolines. Basically, it's those things that like make your skirt really big.
Oh.
Yeah. They helped women achieve that hourglass figure even more, and they were fucking humongous. So actually my notes are out of order a little bit. This was more popular in the late 1800s. But anyway, in 1864, it's estimated that 2,500 women died as a direct result of wearing these things because they were so big. They got caught on stuff. Women were getting dragged by carts and all this crazy stuff was happening, and they were highly flammable.
And it's like now people are like, it's crazy that women wear like butt pads and get Brazilian butt lifts and edit their Instagram pictures to like make more of an hourglass shape. But back then they were wearing like a fucking like metal skeleton under their dresses.
Yeah, they're like wearing and carrying around a whole other person.
To do the same fucking thing.
They don't
more
like
of an hourglass shape.
Beauty is pain.
Yeah.
And who are we doing it for anyway?
Right.
Like, what the fuck?
I mean, do it for yourself or don't do it.
Exactly. I have a picture, I think, in the drive. Yeah.
What is that? She looks like a clam.
That's like when she's putting it on sitting in the chair and then she stands up and it'll drop down to her waist.
Okay.
You see, so how it like just
it looks
out.
like a human head poking out of a clam because her skirt is like huge and ruffled.
Yeah, it's massive.
Yeah.
So this whole situation as far as the bloomers go, and I really don't know how to pronounce this, the crinolines, I don't know. I'm so sorry.
I don't know.
It's not the case for all women, though.
Ooh, that thing looks cute.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that
it's
right
now.
It's
like a buckskin thong.
Exactly. So along with their boots, mittens, leggings, and capes, indigenous women in Greenland, North America, North Scandinavia, and Siberia donned underwear called natsit. I really don't know how to pronounce this one. It's Naatsit. And when I looked up how to pronounce it, it was like, how to pronounce villain? And I was like, so disappointed. But this is a G-string made out of sea pelt. And it was worn under trousers. So this is like not one of the first G-strings we'll see, but it was really popular in these really cold environments.
Is sea pelt like an Arctic seal? Pelt.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
Not cool. That's my favorite animal, but I mean, cool. Whatever.
It was the best alternative for their environment. Mm-hmm. And that's because rather than using reindeer, fox, bear, or dog, it provided less insulation, which doesn't it doesn't sound good at first, but it means that these women would sweat less, which is good because if they sweated more, it would just end up freezing in this climate. And you don't want frozen ice all up in your business.
No, you do not.
So seal pelt.
Nice.
And these were multi-purpose underwear. Okay. So it was meant to keep them warm. It was shown off during intimate moments and it was enjoyed during casual interactions with friends as it would just be worn plainly indoors.
Cute.
Yeah. I mean, it's cute. You're right. It's wool. Yeah. It's got those like glass beads.
Yeah.
Tassels.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing. And like I said before, this is not actually the earliest thong we see. They've been around for a very long time. So dating all the way back to 42,000 BC, we can see evidence of thongs in Africa and Minoan and Mycenaean cultures. Okay, just to make sure. As well as Japanese men wearing them for sumo wrestling in 250 BCE, and they still do. But in all these instances, these are all men wearing these thongs.
Oh, the men wear those ones on the screen?
The ones that we were talking about, the seal pelts, were worn by the women.
Oh, okay.
Maybe the men did wear them too, but these really old thongs, other than this one, are all worn by the men.
Okay.
So we don't really see female thongs arrive until the 20th century. And that is all because of the World Fair. So in 1939, the World Fair was held in New York City. And the mayor was like, there's going to be families here and there were going to be burlesque dancers there. And he was like, you burlesque dancers can't be shown completely naked. Like, you've got to cover up. Your body is not a wonderland.
Were burlesque dancers, did they used to be completely naked?
I think they would go down to being completely naked from what I understand.
Really?
Because the only reason they created these G-strings was to cover up more.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow, I had no idea.
Me either. So these burlesque dancers adopted the G-string because, they still wanted to be at the World Fair. They still wanted to make their money. And most women at the time were still wearing bloomers. So it was just totally revolutionary. It was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So from that point, the thongs at the World Fair kind of opened up the door for this more progressive style of underwear. So women's underwear became less of a burden. You didn't have so much of the bloomers. They became more of an athletic tight fit. But the average woman was so far from wearing thongs anytime, really. They were more for performers and dancers. And it pretty much stayed that way until the 1970s. So Rudy Gernrich invented the thong bikini, and people were like, it's the 70s. Like, okay, we can be sexy and show it, right? Like we can be free with our bodies. And the thong did gain some acceptance, but not necessarily like popularity within the US, and certainly not in day-to-day life. The intimate store, it's called Fredericks of Hollywood. They started selling thongs in the 80s, and they were sold next to things like edible underwear and crotchless panties. Yeah. Okay. And thongs are actually referred to as scanty panties.
Okay.
So they're on the scene. Definitely not mainstream, though.
Like even in the 80s?
Even in the 80s.
That blows my
wild.
mind. I know. No idea.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense why my mom would make me wear like regular panties with my fucking Victoria's Secret yoga pants and have a huge panty line, because like I wasn't allowed to wear thongs. But
yeah, same
I mean,
here.
if you grew up in the 80s and thongs were considered scanty panties, makes sense.
My mom felt the same way. I remember like one of my friends in junior high showing me her thong, and I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. She's like, don't tell my mom.
Yeah, I bought thongs without my mom knowing, and I'd like hand wash them in the sink because I couldn't put them in with the rest of the laundry.
You were throwing it back to the 1600s.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of what it would be like for when you were a teenager back in the 80s too. They were definitely not the mainstream.
Yeah.
Things change. They didn't really change, but Cher wore a thong on stage one time, and it kind of blew people's minds, but nothing really changed after that. It was actually an intern that is credited with really opening up thongs to lay women, if you will. Monica Lewinsky, if you know the name. So she, of course, ended up revealing a lot of details about her affair with Bill Clinton. And in one instance, she was telling the Star Report about a time that she was flirting with Bill, and she raised her jacket to expose her thong straps. And other people knew about it, but people literally did not understand how thongs worked.
I'm a little confused how you could raise your jacket and show your thong strap.
Like a whale tail.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So her pants were really low.
They were just normal pants, but traditionally thongs go a bit
on
above
your hips.
Yeah, up on your hips.
I see.
But people didn't know that or understand that.
Yeah.
So people thought that she was straight up just stripping in front of
the
Bill Clinton, the president.
That'd be quite the move.
Yeah. And one reporter called a lingerie store in Seattle to figure out how thongs worked. They were like, so this happened. Can you please explain to me?
Oh my God. Imagine picking up the phone to that. You're like,
this is not what I signed up for.
That would be like on like our Cringetopia on Reddit. Having to call a lingerie store to see how thongs work.
I wish Reddit existed in the 80s so that we could go back and read.
Me too.
Gosh.
80s Reddit would have been a wild place.
Yeah, I would have liked to see 60s Reddit too.
Yeah. I would like to see like 1800s Reddit.
I want to see all the Reddits.
Yeah, me too. Let's have all the Reddits.
Okay, that sounds good. We'll just have to go back in time and make some things happen.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, the salesperson explained over the phone that Monica did not have to strip out of her clothes to show herself to the president. Not even herself, literally her hips and her whale tail. But
cute.
Yeah, super cute.
Do you remember the scene in it's either John Tucker Must Die or Mean Girls, where she's like strutting down the hallway at high school and she has a huge whale tail? What movie is that?
I don't remember.
Is it Mean Girls?
I can picture it. I think it's Mean Girls.
I was like, oh my God, that's a thing? It's like, am I supposed to have a whale tail?
That would be a major wrong answer.
No, you're not supposed to have a whale tail.
We got in trouble wrongfully, in my opinion, for showing our shoulders at my high school.
Oh yeah. So that's typical bullshit.
Typical bullshit. It wasn't until the 90s that thongs are considered normal and not just completely provocative and outlandish. And basically from there, once people accepted it, it was true love. As we've talked about, the trend of wearing your thong underneath your low-cut jeans, it swept the nation. People were spouting their fucking whale tails here, there, everywhere. Obviously, that image of it in the movie stuck with you for a long time. In 1999, Cisco was asking to see that thong in his thong song.
The thong song.
And Fredericks of Hollywood actually reported that 90% of their underwear sales were thongs in 2002. So the number of thongs bought in the U.S. doubled within 4 years.
Dang.
And yeah, thong sales did decrease 7% over the last couple of years before 2015. But now people have mixed feelings. Some people like them, some people don't. They wear them for comfort. They wear them to not show panty lines. But it's always an option, and it was brought on the scene by burlesque dancers. So I'm almost done. I have a few little fun facts before we go. One of these burlesque dancers, Betty Page, she posed in a guide for strip teasers because there were so many blue laws across the nation about what you could show or could not show. They posed in their costumes to show how you could legally strip within each state. So Alec, if you want to scroll to the next one, I just picked out 2 states. I did Texas and Florida.
Wait, that's stripping?
Yep.
It's like more covered up than a bikini.
Yep.
She's got a lot of fringe.
A lot of fringe,
Yeah.
a lot of covering. It was like a lot of these use descriptions as fractions. Like you can only show 1/3 of your buttocks.
Okay.
And that's how it still is in Tennessee. Actually, you can scroll to the next one. Show her
Also,
Florida.
wait, I have a fun fact about Betty Page. In Seattle, there's a house like right up against the freeway that has like a giant mural covering the whole back of the house of Betty Page. And like the house's trim runs like right across where her nipples would be.
Oh my God, that's legendary.
It's really cool. Anyway, sorry to interrupt your story.
Love that so much. Lots of other dancers posed in this little pamphlet, if you will, but they all had their different pages showing what you could and could not do. And it was really descriptive. It has like a fun little anecdote for each one. What does it say? In Florida, coverage here must resemble bra and panties whenever possible. What happens in the heat of summer is fun too. And there's still laws like this in Tennessee. So in Tennessee, you have to have pasties on top and under bra, which covers your underboob basically.
Oh my God. That's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. So this Tennessee dancer has like a bra that's been like, I mean, it was made this way, but it looks like it was like cut under her boob. So she just has underwire. Yeah, but like it's like a bra that's been cut down to nothing but like the frame and the underwire, and then she has pasties on. Like, why do you even have to have the underwire?
You also have to have...
I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. Like, it doesn't leave much to the imagination, and it's just a body.
Yeah.
It's literally a body.
But also, like, if you're gonna censor boobs, why have the weird underwire thing underneath your actual boobs that are just out?
Why not just go all the way? It's probably because the fucking lawmakers are like, we want to see as much as we can, but we've got to stick to our morals.
We got to say there's a bra involved when there's obviously not.
Yeah. We've got to tell something to the wifey.
Yeah.
They also have to have full coverage bottoms. You can't wear a G-string or a thong. You must. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've got to cover the vortex, which is where your vagina and your buttocks meet, and your crack.
Wait, that's called your vortex?
Yeah, I know. I had to look it up. Yeah.
Oh, no, so I never knew that.
That's a fun name. I think that's a good little takeaway.
That's definitely what I'm taking away.
So... this lesson definitely, the research did not go as I suspected it would, but I learned a lot about how we got my personal favorite style of underwear. My sources are Britannica.com, pulpinternational.com, NashvilleBurlesqueFestival.com, Daily Mail UK, HistoryExtra.com, AtlasObscura.com, Racked.com, and the New York Times.
Thanks, Hayley. That was a great lesson, and we'll be right back after we hear from our sponsor. All
right, y'all. I don't know about you, but I procrastinate in almost everything I do. So right now is the time for Christmas presents. There's only a few days left, and I might have a solution for you. And let me tell you, it involves soft lips and happiness. Do you want to know more? Because we've got more. This is Ralphie and Alice. This is lip balm that is not only vegan, but they give back to communities and support tons of charities. I love using my Ralphie and Alice because I got the 4-pack. I have 4 different types. There's one that's tinted. There's one that's just hydrating. There's one that it's gritty, so it gets all that dead skin off of my lips. And then the 4th one is yellow, and
it has CBD in it, and it protects against the sun. It's called the Soul Stick. That one's actually my favorite. It smells like turmeric. They're just like badass. Like if you want to feel like a hippie visco girl, or if you have like a 16-year-old visco girl in your life and you're like, what the hell do I get her for Christmas? You might want to check out this like natural, organic, vegan lip balm brand out of LA, run by like freaking supermodels. Like, this is what your visco girl niece wants for Christmas.
Definitely.
And what I want for Christmas.
Even if you don't have a visco girl on your list, if you have someone with lips on your list, then this is the solution for you.
Yes, it's amazing. It's hydrating. It's beautiful. Packaged beautifully. Comes in a cute box. Best Christmas gift, truly.
Yeah. Not only that, I know this is so silly, but it is a big lip balm. Like, you're not gonna lose this. I lose chapsticks constantly. It's big, it's bulky, and it's beautiful. It's gonna make your lips feel great, and it's affordable. And it comes with stickers.
Yeah, it comes with stickers, and Hayley likes holding it. She's holding one right now, and as she like does night classy, it's like her tick. Like she holds one of these in her hand. So if you're a fan and you want to be like Hayley, or you just want soft lips and need something to buy for someone for Christmas, head to ralphieandalice.com, and they have a very special deal for just our listeners. You can enter our promo code NIGHTCLASSY, no spaces, just the name of this podcast, and get 15% off. So fucking do it.
Kiss dry lips goodbye. Mwah.
1, 2, 3, eyes on me.
Eyes are on you. Eyes and ears.
Well, that's not how it goes, but okay. So it would be 1, 2, eyes on you.
Oh,
but it's fine. It's fine.
I don't do that.
Hayley's a fake teacher. So Hayley, there are 5 basic senses that everyone recognizes. There may be more, but there are 5. So there is sight, smell, taste, touch, and hearing. And if you were to rank those 5 in order of how important they are to you in your everyday life, 5 being the least, 1 being the most important, how would you rank them?
So I'd probably do first would probably have to be touch, and then second would be sight, third would be my hearing, fourth would be taste. What's the 5th one?
Smell.
Yeah, because I'm already fucked with smell. So.
And this is exactly what I predicted. So Hayley put smell as her number 5, and that's perfect. That's what I was hoping would happen, because I think if you asked most people, they would put smell as number 5. But I'm here to tell you today that smell is much more important in our lives than we think. So for a long time, scientists believed that the human sense of smell was fairly insignificant, or at least like it was weak compared to other animals. But research over about the last 10 years or so has proven that our noses are much better than we thought. It was previously estimated that humans could smell about 10,000 smells, but the number is closer to 1 trillion.
What?
Yeah.
Do we just like cancel it out, like extra information?
Kind of. A big reason why we underestimate how many smells we can smell is because we don't have words for 1 trillion smells. We really only have words for a handful. And a lot of times when we're smelling things, like you said, we don't even really realize we're smelling it. It kind of goes in one nostril and out the other, if you might say. But this is partly because when we use our other senses with like things like touch and taste and hearing, that information gets sent straight to our cerebral cortex for processing. But with smell, the information is processed differently. It's first sent to the amygdala, which processes basic emotions, and then it goes to our entorhinal cortex and our hippocampus, which is connected to memory. So smell is processed on a more subconscious level because it goes first to our emotion center and our memory center, and only then is it sent to our orbital cortex for emotional processing and decision making. So it's a little bit diluted before we really put into words what we're smelling. This means that we are heavily influenced by smell, though we don't even realize it. It's a commonly held belief in general that animal noses are better than human noses, but that's not actually true.
Sounds like it's like our spy sense.
Yeah.
Like we don't know it's there, but it's always working.
A lot of times when people talk about having a sixth sense, they're actually smelling something like an emotion. And we'll talk about that in a second. Yeah.
Ew.
So Swedish biologist Mattias Laska is a researcher who's studying the comparison of human and animal smelling capacity. Laska has found significant enough data to compare humans with 17 species of mammals. And most of the animals he compares us with are things like monkeys, bats, rats, pigs, dogs, and mice. And I think that's because these animals are easier to train, because when we compare smells to animals can't tell us when they're smelling something, right? So they have to be trained to respond in a certain way to a smell. And so these are animals that can be easily trained. But the results are still pretty shocking. Human noses scored much more sensitive than rats and monkeys on at least the limited odors that we have data for. And we even outscored animals who we are thought to have really good senses of smell, like mice and pigs. And we beat dogs on a handful of scents.
Really? Okay. Do you have any examples of scents?
Yeah. So the scents we are better at detecting are usually plant scents. And this makes sense because dogs don't eat plants. So they don't really have to smell for plants. Dogs are much, much better at smelling bodily fluids and fatty acids because their ancestors were carnivores. So that's what they depend on. And so we're really good at smelling things that are useful to us. And one thing that's really useful to us is human body odor. According to a 2015 study by Portuguese and Swedish scientists, we may even be able to pick out an assailant from a police lineup based on their smell. A study, isn't that crazy? A study was conducted by smelling body odor samples from 20 male university students. They collected these samples, and then other group of students was shown a video of a man assaulting a woman. This was meant to kind of get their heart rates up, put them in a flight or flight kind of mindset. And they were given a smell sample from one of these volunteers. And they smelled this smell sample, and they were told that this is the suspect who assaulted this person in the video they watched. Afterward, they faced a lineup of 5 odor samples from the different odor donations, and 75% of the time, they were able to pick out the suspect's smell.
Ew. Okay, that's crazy. Also, how do you get an odor sample?
I think that it's like a sweat scraping.
Okay.
That's what I imagine, but I'm actually not sure. In a lot of these studies, they'll have people, because I'm about to cite a bunch more studies, they'll have them wear a t-shirt and then do a workout and then just have them smell the t-shirt.
Just your smell. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? And I'm glad that you look interested because you're a psych major. So I thought that this might have been something you've heard about before.
Definitely interesting. No, I don't think so.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a lot more. So human body odor acts like a fingerprint. And our odor is a result of mostly a combination of our genetics and the food we eat. And we are really, really good at distinguishing human smells and human scents. Under PET scans, when humans smell body odor, the parts of our brain associated with social processing light up. And this doesn't happen with other smells. So when we smell other people, we're picking up social cues.
I wonder where that happened evolutionarily. How did we pick up that skill?
I mean, probably really early on. We read social cues with all our other senses. Why wouldn't we also read cues with smell?
Yeah, it's just something I've never even thought of.
Same. I never knew any of this. I started researching pheromones. That's where I started my research. And then it just like took me down this rabbit hole where actually like a lot of our social interactions are dictated by our sense of smell.
You end the lesson like, turns out intuition, it's just your smell.
I mean, pretty much, honestly.
Cool.
There's more information we can detect from human smells than other smells. For example, it's possible for people to smell dangerous. Like, have you ever met a person and just not felt good around them?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I'm sorry. I thought you were going to say, have you ever smelled a person and you don't like the way they smell?
I mean, that too. Like,
because for me, you guys know I have constant sniffles. If you don't know, now you know. Like, I have some ear, nose, and throat issues. So it's like, I feel like my sense of smell isn't strong, but maybe, it's fine, but it comes to my brain differently. It's processed different than like, that's what I smell.
Right. And so I mean, strong. If you have your sniffles, like it probably is hindered a little bit, but I think it's still stronger than you realize. A 2015 study by the journal Chemical Senses tested this, like the idea of being able to smell a dangerous person. And what they did was they had 16 men take a timed math test. And then no matter what they scored, they told them that they scored below average.
We're exposing toxic masculinity one by one.
Exactly. Men can't be bad at math.
Men can't be bad at anything, apparently.
No, apparently not, because these men were very upset. After they like got super angry that they're bad at math, they had them do a workout and they collected sweat. After this, they had another sample of men and they took another math test and they were told they scored average. Then these men went and did a workout and their sweat was collected. So they had 2 samples of sweat, angry man sweat and neutral man sweat. So then they took in another, and this lucky group of volunteers got to smell the sweat samples while they were being tested on like a test that measured cognitive performance. So they had both groups smell the sweat while they were taking this cognitive test. And what they found was that the people smelling the angry man sweat scored significantly lower than the people sniffing the neutral man sweat.
Oh, because they were like in that kind of like fight or flight zone.
That's the hypothesis. So they figured that the people smelling the angry sweat were kind of distracted by the smell of an angry man. It kind of puts you on edge and it makes it harder for you to take what's like essentially an IQ test. We can smell more than just this anger. So we can smell a wide range of emotions and we respond to them every day. European researchers in 2015 measured facial expressions of volunteers who had just smelled either the sweat of someone who had watched a pleasant video or a scary video. And the samples came from people who either watched a happy scene from The Jungle Book or a scary scene from The Shining. And after smelling the sweat from The Jungle Book, watchers and participants generally had happy expressions. And I don't know what the people who sniffed the scared sweat felt, but I guess I would imagine they had neutral expressions. But if we want to know more about smelling scared sweat, in another experiment, when sniffing sweat taken from a first-time parachute jumper, participants' amygdalas lit up under fMRI scans.
That's so crazy. I love that we can see exactly where your brain is firing.
Exactly. And I mean, if you're not Hayley and you don't know what the amygdala is, it processes fear. So if you're smelling a scared person's sweat, you respond with fear subconsciously. So like other emotions, we do smell fear, though on a subconscious level, which again, that might be our intuition. We might be, when we go somewhere and somewhere just feels off, we might be smelling someone else's fear who is just in that space. Or conversely, maybe we're smelling a dangerous person.
I wonder what makes it smell that way. Like there has to be some sort of pattern in the chemicals, in the sweat glands, or something of the sort. There has to be some explanation. Do we know?
Unfortunately, I don't have that. And I read a bunch of articles and never came across anyone talking about that. So I don't know. I'm sure there's some research on it, but it didn't seem like the research was there, at least for like the mainstream of like
it seems
the
like
Google searches that I was doing.
I mean, based off this research, it sounds like they'll get there eventually, but just the fact that we can recognize that you can smell emotions that's the foundation
exactly
to start asking those questions.
Yeah. And I think that's where, because this research is fairly new, and I think right now that's a big deal. Also, I couldn't find anything on this, but I was taking an anthropology class one time and they were talking about this. And like in our culture, we might say, oh, you look sad. But this anthropology professor was telling us about some group of people they were living with. I forget where it was, but in their culture, you say you smell sad or you smell happy. And I looked this up trying to find where this was, and I couldn't find anything about it. I wish I remembered, but
that's so interesting that from the get-go that the language was formed, that they knew that it was the sense of smell.
Yeah.
That's mind-blowing.
It is mind-blowing. But the bottom line here is like, trust your gut. It might be your sense of smell telling you. And I think that's part of the reason why a lot of people hate hospitals is because maybe they can pick up on some of the fear. And
hospitals,
same with
nursing homes.
Ooh, reminds me, we were watching Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. What did the lady get in a fight about?
Her aunt had just had her legs amputated, and her friend went up to her and she tried to hug her friend, and her friend was like, ew, you smell like hospital, because she had just been visiting her aunt who had gotten her legs amputated.
I mean, a hospital does have a certain smell, and it's not good.
No, and they got in a huge fight over it, and the girl, the woman who was telling her she smelled like hospital was defending herself, and she's like, well, it's because I had such a traumatic experience in the hospital when I got my odor glands removed, and I was in the hospital for 12 days. Yeah, that show is a trip. And we watch it.
We need to figure out if odor glands are odor glands or if she's just talking about her sweat glands.
I don't know what she's talking about.
What if it was total snake oil surgery where they're like, yeah, we're going to go in and remove your odor glands for $70,000, and it's just they don't do anything.
That honestly could be it. She'd probably do it. So we can smell a lot of human smells. One of the things we can smell is health and biological compatibility. Have you heard of being able to sniff out a compatible match?
No.
Really?
I don't think so.
This is so much better than I thought it was going to be then. Okay, so a 2014 experiment by the Psychological Science Journal found that people can tell who shows signs of sickness based on their body odor. And being able to do this provides an obvious evolutionary advantage. Of course, you don't want to breed with a sick person. I mean, if we're going purely off what genes they can pass down to your child. And even more biologically advantageous is the ability to tell the difference in MHC. This is the major histocompatibility complex. This is a gene family that's linked to the immune system and body scent. It's been known for a while that animals like mice and rats can tell how related they are by sniffing one another's urine. And it turns out that humans can do this too.
Is that why cats and dogs smell each other's private bits?
I don't know if they're doing that to tell how related they are, but they can get a lot of information from that. If the other one is sick, they can tell what they last ate, all kinds of stuff.
All right, come here. Let me get a whiff.
Oh no, stay away.
Speaking of Gstrings, hand it over.
Gross. A study from the University of Chicago found that when smelling t-shirts worn by different men for 2 nights in a row, women were able to pinpoint their closest genetic matches.
What? Wait,
Ooh.
what?
I know. I don't know how they did this.
Did they give them the smells of both people that were matches?
They had them smell t-shirts, and they were able to pick out the one that smelled closest to their genetic profile.
Oh, okay. So it was all smells. It wasn't this person looks like they would smell.
No, it was all smell.
Okay.
A study conducted by researchers at McGill University in Canada used neuroimaging to conclude that when smelling the odor of a close relative, our dorsomedial prefrontal cortex is activated. And this is the part of the brain responsible for recognizing family.
Yeah, you're hey, it's my fam.
Yeah. So we can smell our family basically, and we can use these senses to pick a partner that is not too genetically close to us, because that, of course, if you're having children with family, it can lead to complications, as we know. But one thing I thought that was interesting is we also tend to not want a partner too genetically different from us. And of course, we're humans and we make our own decisions and we're not completely ruled by these biological smell impulses. But this is at least according to this research, an evolutionary trait we have, which seeks to preserve regional and environmental adaptations. So you want to be genetically different enough from your partner so that your children don't have birth defects and so that you can also combine the good things about your genetics and your partner's genetics. However, there are regional advantages like being able to eat certain foods in your environment without getting sick or being immune from certain regional diseases. So there's like a play between similarity and difference that we can smell in someone's genetics, and that might make their pheromones seem more enticing or more displeasing to us when selecting a sexual partner.
I just picture someone on the first date, they smell their like Tinder date and they start howling at the moon. Like, this is it.
Maybe. For women, this motivation is heightened, especially during ovulation when we're most fertile. And conversely, when women are pregnant, this whole situation of wanting a partner that is biologically different from us is kind of flipped on its head. Because when women are pregnant, they tend to prefer scents of people who are genetically closer to them. And it's believed that this is because during pregnancy, you seek out relatives because you want comfort and support and people that are going to help you with your baby, like a sexual partner does not always do. Mm-hmm. The same thing applies to women on hormonal birth control, because the way hormonal birth control works is by tricking your body into thinking it's pregnant. So I'm going to talk about some of the research that indicates how your birth control can affect your choice in partner.
Oh my gosh. I'm just taking this all in. I don't have any funny jokes or anything like that. And I'm sorry, but this is fascinating.
Before I talk about this research, I do want to note that it focuses exclusively on heterosexual cisgendered women. So I'm going to use one of Abby from Queers for Fear's words, which is heteroized. This research is very heteroized, and so is what I'm about to talk about. We know that people can smell other people's genes and that it influences our sexual partners. These, they're basically theories, but there is evidence, but they're tested in different ways. These studies have provided evidence that, quote, women who have used hormonal contraceptives when they first meet their partner and then ceased to take them experience lower levels of sexual and relationship satisfaction and are more likely to get divorced. So if you meet your partner on birth control, you are trying to find a partner with a certain scent. And then when you no longer have pregnancy hormones, your tastes change.
See, women think the problem with birth control is that they gain weight and become sad. The real problem is that the partner is not the one for you.
Yes.
Tommy and I are fucked.
Yeah, right. Big time.
And I do want to do a disclaimer here. I'm definitely oversimplifying things, and I don't want this to sound like a doomsday or like a blanket statement, because of course it's not. Science is always evolving, and this is just the studies that I looked at. But it is interesting to talk about.
Is it just a correlation, or is it significant?
It's
results?
Significant enough for these to be published in medical journals, but I don't want anyone to think like, oh my God, like,
okay,
I'm
but
doomed.
Like the actual like statistics and the data on it, you don't like, cause
it's there, but like, of course there are exceptions. Not everyone who starts dating on birth control divorces their husband. Like That's not how this goes every time.
What I meant though is that there's like a definition in statistics of what is significant and what's not.
It is statistically significant.
Okay.
Evolutionary psychological science conducted 2 studies to examine, quote, whether women who had used hormonal contraceptives during relationship formation and later discontinued their usage would be particularly likely to find attractive alternative mates sexually appealing during the fertile phase of the menstrual cycle, as compared to women who had either not used pills at the relationship formation or who had done so and did not stop using the pills. So we have women who were on the pill and went off, or we have women who are on the pill, have not gone off the pill, or who are never on the pill. So they're looking at the variation here with going off the pill.
Okay.
And in the first study, women were showed 2 different dating profiles. The first one described himself as a bad boy and used traits associated with masculinity, but low dependability. So like sensation seeking, easily bored, and adventurous.
I'm a bad boy.
I'm a bad boy.
I ride a motorcycle. And I have a leather jacket.
Yeah.
Guys, stop imitating me, okay? We get it.
The second profile was average looking and described himself as an ordinary guy. I'm an ordinary guy.
I'm Alec. I'm a podcast producer.
No.
What was the Fred Armisen? I'm a little guy.
I'm a little guy.
I'm an average guy.
Yeah. And then participants were asked to describe a narrative of an imaginary date with each man. So then researchers took their words and coded them for anything that's expressed like a sexual experience. And so they were looking for women saying that, like mentioning like anything sexual they would do on this date, especially with the bad boy. What they found was that women who had started their relationship on birth control and then went off their birth control were much more likely to express interest in the bad boy. And this is nothing super conclusive. The conclusion drawn from this was that these women were less satisfied in their romantic relationship and like were less willing to like choose the stable relationship. They wanted to shake things up a little bit.
They wanted to get off their birth control and go crazy.
Exactly. There was another study done, but it replicated study 2's findings that women who went off their birth control mid-relationship were more likely to troll for a more attractive new mate. The second study had women do a task on the computer. They were asked to do just like some menial task on the computer where they were staring at a dot or something and clicking things. I don't know. But while they were doing this, pictures of attractive men were flashing on the screen.
Oh, okay. That's my kind of computer. Let's go.
If only all computers could be like that. No. So, and what they were measuring was how often women were distracted by the pictures of attractive men. And what they found was that women who had gone off their birth control mid-relationship were much more easily distracted than the women who had either remained on birth control or were never on birth control.
They're primed. They're telling their body that it's, if you're not pregnant, you need to get it.
Exactly. And so like you just said, like there's a lot of lurking variables. There's also a small sample size. We need to be cautious of these results for a lot of reasons. But we do know that body odor and genetics impact how we pick a partner. And if that impacts us with pregnancy or with being single, hormonal birth control probably mimics that. And that's what these studies are trying to show. So it's interesting. But I don't want anyone to panic. If you met your partner while you're on the pill and you might someday get off your hormonal birth control, you should be comforted by the findings of another study that concluded that women who choose their partners while on the pill are significantly less likely to leave their partners than those who choose their partners while on no birth control and then go on birth control. So this is very broad and I didn't have time to really dig into it. But what I got from this was that it's saying that when we are on the pill, we choose our partners based on dependability and stability because we have those pregnancy hormones. Whereas when you don't have those pregnancy hormones, you tend to focus more on hypermasculine characteristics and physical attraction. So of course that dependability and stability and warmth that you find when you're kind of maybe ignoring those physical attributes a little more is going to result in a better long-term relationship. And as my AP Psych teacher told me, never get married without being with them on the pill and, well, not on the pill.
Your AP Psych teacher told you that?
Yep. Shout out Miss Zeman. Hope you don't lose your job. She was a great teacher. She really was. That was a great class. And I still remember this. Like, it's crazy that I learned about this in AP Psych and now I'm researching it again. How cool.
Isn't it so crazy that psychology has only been around for like a little over 100 years?
Yeah, it is crazy. And there's so much we still need to know. Like all of this research, I like felt bad even citing some of these studies. So I was like, that doesn't seem like it was conducted very well. But like, this is what we have in the moment. And I also, again, I already said this, but I want to reiterate that humans are not ruled completely by biology. There are exceptions to every rule. We have thoughts, we have feelings, we have a prefrontal cortex, and we can make our own decisions. There are exceptions, and all of this research has some flaws and cultural bias, so we have to be careful with it. Non-human sense can also influence attraction. So our attraction is influenced by biological sense. It's also influenced by not biological sense. One study had people guess the ages of women while smelling the aroma of grapefruit. And on average, the one smelling the grapefruit knocked 12 years off of women's actual ages versus not smelling the grapefruit.
What? Wait, it was like their smell plus grapefruit?
Wait, can you explain that again?
Yeah, so just like we wear perfume, there are smells that make people more attractive.
Oh, okay.
And so a study that tested this showed people pictures of women. And while they were looking at these pictures of women, they were smelling the smell of grapefruit. And those who were smelling grapefruit guessed that these women were 12 years younger than they actually were, versus the people who were not smelling grapefruit.
I see.
You know that grapefruit video?
No.
Alec knows.
Wait, what?
You want to pull it up real quick?
Yeah, please do. I can't believe you. I hope you've seen this and you're just like, oh yeah, that one. But if not, I also hope you haven't, so that this is a completely new experience.
Oh, yes, I have seen this. Okay. Oh, no.
I wanted to share this with you because I believe every man should get grapefruited. When you grapefruit your man, it's going to feel as if you are giving him head and fucking him at the same time. No better feeling would he ever get than being grapefruited. So
I think it was on Tosh.0, right?
You need to, of course, have a grapefruit.
I don't know.
Now what you're going to do is you're going to put a hole in the middle of the grapefruit, approximately the size of your man's penis.
That would burn you, right?
Okay.
I would rather like junior mint, my man. A giant junior mint, not a grapefruit.
That would also be painful.
Weird take.
Yeah, weird take. What are you trying to say about Tommy?
No, I said a giant junior mint.
Okay.
It's creamy on the inside.
All right.
Moving right along.
In a similar study, women appeared 4 pounds slimmer when the guesser was smelling spicy or floral notes. According to our social standards, which prioritize youth and slimness, this indicates that smell makes people more attractive when it's a pleasant smell like grapefruit or spice or floral notes. And so this just like got me wondering, and I just put into Google what smell is the sexiest. And I got a small list. So Lily of the Valley apparently is really sexy.
I don't even know.
I don't know, but I guess it's in like a lot of perfumes. And the little blurb I read on it was saying that most floral scents, men say like smell like an old lady, but Lily of the Valley smells like very fresh. And I guess people find that sexy. Rose oil, vanilla, vetiver. I don't know. I didn't know what that was, but it's found in both men and women's colognes. And it's a grass that grows in India and smells similar to lemongrass. And also freshly squeezed oranges.
That's citrus.
Yeah, the citrus. Citrus is in a lot of perfumes, and smell is big business. In recent years, companies have been investing money into the business of smell. For example, in cultivating experiences in things like hotel lobbies or offices to make the experience more memorable. Because as we know, we just learned that smell is tightly connected to memory. So if you walk into a business and the smell sticks with you, you're more likely to visit again. And
sort of like how all Targets smell the same and all Best Buys smell the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that something they do on purpose?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Probably.
It might be part of the reason why they sell like pretzels and stuff in the front of the store. I don't know. But some places do this intentionally. And there's a woman named Dawn Goldworm who has made a huge business out of curating scents for companies to diffuse in their buildings.
That sounds like an amazing job.
Yeah, she works with corporations to create a signature scent. One company she works with is Nike, whose signature scent is the smell of rubber basketball sneaker as it scrapes across this court, and a soccer cleat in grass and dirt.
Huh.
And those, like, just describing it, you can smell what that smells like. And I think it smells like a Dick's, like, sporting goods store or something.
I thought you were just about to say it smells like a dick.
Smells like Dick's.
You wish.
You wish your dick smelled like burnt rubber in grass.
Am I right, men?
Am I right or am I right? Pheromones, class dismissed.
My dick smells like Lily of the Valley. Thank you very much.
I just start hating every girl named Lily because it's not Hayley of the Valley.
Her goal is to create, quote, immediate and memorable connections between brands and consumers. Dawn has a lot of interesting things to say. I watched her speak in a TEDx. I kind of just like put together a list of like fun facts she gave about smell because that was what a lot of her speech was.
That sounds a lot better. Yeah. Give me the fun facts.
In her talk, she mentioned how fetuses have fully developed sense of smell by 12 weeks and they can smell what their mother is eating.
Ooh, Safety can smell what I'm eating. He's all in my business.
Yes, he can. She points out that until the age of 10, scent is our dominant smell. And that makes sense because I was thinking about how when I was a kid, all my friends' houses had a distinct smell.
Yep.
And I could smell their smell. Like if they were walking behind me, I knew who was behind me because of their smell. And I can't do that anymore.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
Wow. Mine melted.
Mine meld.
And you remember like in kindergarten, you could smell like who had waffles
Yeah.
or like syrup that morning.
Smell. Mm-hmm.
You could smell everything.
Or the smell of the bus. That's very distinct to my mind.
Yeah, there's all kinds of childhood smells. It's like those BuzzFeed articles that are like,
you can smell this
picture. You can smell this picture. Yeah, and it's like a bus seat.
But you can smell this picture.
Yeah, and they're mostly smells from when we were kids because that's when our sense of the smell was like most important to us.
I wonder why evolutionarily.
I think it's because when we're babies, that's our dominant sense. And that's what we rely on. Like, I didn't include this in my research, but there's all this research about like babies and like smells and like how the mother and baby's smells interact. And I just didn't have time to include it. But
that makes sense for when you're a baby. But up until you're 10, you can see like for a long time before you're 10.
You can. But I also think for kids, like a lot of times all their senses are kind of heightened. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. She also made the claim that Hitler, before speaking, would spray a room with a scent to set the mood before giving his speech. And I was like, is that true? And I looked on Reddit and Reddit said it wasn't true. But then I found a CIA document that said he would spray Yardley's lavender smelling salts before his speeches.
Ew.
Yeah.
That's like a little bit genius, but it makes me feel sick.
Yeah, it's disgusting, but like this was being employed like for a long time. And also I was a little confused because in her speech, Goldworm was saying that like he would do this to rouse the crowd. But from what I know about lavender, it's supposed to calm people down. So I don't know if maybe he had different scents for like different speeches.
Maybe it made them feel more comfortable and open-minded as to what he was going to say, therefore allowing them to be more roused.
Maybe. And like how sick. And like, but it really demonstrates like the kind of mind control that smell can have.
Mm-hmm.
Another influential scent business person is Harvard scientist David Edwards. And he worked on a technology that would allow phones to send scents.
What?
Yeah, it didn't work. This project was called the O phone. For olfactory phone.
Okay.
And it would connect to your iPhone and you could send a smell. And
you know how on Hinge it's like you have your pictures and you can put like your favorite song and things like that. And then it was like it included your scent and you're like, this is what my blank smells like.
No. This is what my WAP smells like. That would be interesting. And
hashtag I wear underwear.
Hashtag I have to wear underwear. This is obviously like troublesome because I mean, you can only have so many like scents encoded into like this device that it just wasn't very practical. In 2014, it was used to send the first smell encoded email, but this product never made it to market. But a product that did make it to market is called the Kyrano, and this is a small cylindrical portable device that can fit in a car's cup holder. It can hold up to 12 smells, and it releases what Edwards calls a smell playlist. So it switches smells every 8 minutes to avoid olfactory fatigue, because if we smell a smell more than 8 minutes, we start to not really smell it anymore. And the idea is that the user can curate smells into a playlist to promote the mood that they want. Like if they want to be energized, they'll smell like orange or peppermint. If they want to be relaxed, they'll smell lavender, etc.
Wait, is this something you can buy?
Yeah. Okay. It costs $149 and has been called a glorified air freshener, which is pretty much what it is. But he's like, okay, like it pretty much is an air freshener, but there's like other uses we can use for it, because the smell profiles are much more complex and personalized than they would be on a regular air freshener. One possible use for this device is to help train like sommeliers and baristas' noses, because they have to be trained to smell like very subtle smells, and it could be like a studying device. Or it could possibly have medical uses, as in like therapy for Alzheimer's patients to help trigger memories. And so that's kind of cool. I don't know if it's being used for either of these things yet. I don't think so.
I would use it to keep me awake on road trips.
Yeah. And that's what he was saying. There was some stat mentioned in the article about how many people fall asleep while driving. And he was making a claim that you can use this to keep yourself awake, which probably you could, because also when like, okay, you're smelling orange for a while, that's an energizing smell, but then you stop smelling it and then you start smelling peppermint, and that might wake you back up. So maybe this thing could be useful. I think it sounds a little bit ridiculous, but like as a lot of these projects do, especially the freaking O-phone, but it does represent the growing realization that smell is more impactful than we once thought. And there's so much more interesting research on human smell. I just like couldn't cover it all. I was nervous to do this one because I simplified so many things and tried to cram in so much when this is a huge topic. But the bottom line is we're much better smellers than we thought. And that's my lesson.
Oh my gosh. I learned so much. I had no idea. Even as a psych major, I don't know what that says about me or my studies, but thank you for educating me.
Yeah. I mean, I tried. I'm sure people who like are experts in this field are like screaming at me right now, but I did what I could. My resources are Discover Magazine, The Sense of Smell in Humans is more powerful than we think by Marta Zaraska, news.harvard.edu, fastcompany.com, thelist.com, Psychology Today, and behavioralscience.org. And if you enjoyed this,
if you're a hoe for science, you can get our t-shirt at patreon.com.
Yeah, you can get our t-shirt. Sorry, Hayley just looked like she wanted to say something. You can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts. You can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. You can subscribe to us on Spotify. You can do all kinds of things. You can follow our socials. You can join our Patreon. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. There's lots of cool stuff there. But bottom line is, we appreciate you listening. Thank you so much. We're glad you liked it. We hope you're glad.
We hope you liked it.
Yes.
I hope we're glad.
And 3, 2, 1, class dismissed.